Oh, hey, it's Torre. Truth Talks. Welcome to the show where we keep it unapologetically black and completely unfiltered. Let's be real. Everybody's talking about therapy now. Mental health this, self-care that. I appreciate the movement. But when it comes to black men, sometimes the conversation gets really silent. What about our mental health? And sometimes we get labeled as angry, toxic, or emotionally unavailable. It is hard to be emotionally intelligent. Black men are fighting to be seen, heard, and healed, and it's not always happening. From toxic masculinity and generational trauma to systemic neglect and cultural silence, we're going to dive deep into the forces pushing black men to suffer in silence. And I know what that's like. Everyone else is told to go to therapy. What do we get? We get Truth Talks.
Are y'all ready to roll? Let's go.
Truth tellers, welcome to the campfire. I got three of my favorite people here. Dr. Shay and Bryant, how are you?
What's going on, Truth tellers? What's going on, Truth Avengers? First, Torre, I want to thank everyone who has been sending them cash apps over, honey. You know, I went and bought me a new Chanel bag, this new Chanel shirt with the cash app. Just playing. But I do want to say that is a big reason of why we're able to continue our show and continue to give you that global news with the Black voice. So seriously, although I didn't purchase a Chanel shirt with your donations, I do want to say thank you so much and make sure that you continue to send those cash apps by supporting us. And that's what keeps us alive. And so we are here because of y'all. We want to make sure you know that and give you the truth. But we do need your support. So we love you. We see you and we appreciate you.
Speaking of love, appreciated support, Judge Laura Lake is here.
Yes.
Hey there. Glad to be here.
And also Dimitri. And he's on mute, which is perfect, because we didn't really want to hear what he had to say anyway.
Torre, you muted my mic. Torre, you dirty dog.
I did. Shut his mic off.
It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
God, imagine that. The Gen Xer telling the Zoomer, turn your mic on. You're muted. You're supposed to be telling me that. Here we go. Let's get into it. Let's get into trending truths. David Banner, great rapper, friend of mine. He's saying what most men won't. I don't trust a man who cheats on his wife. Putting a flag in the sand in a culture where loyalty is laughed at and cheating is absolutely glamorized. Hip-hop legend David Banner is saying, I'm checking character. If you betray the woman you're dedicated to, what else are you capable of? Look at this.
I don't do business with men that cheat on their wives. And I say, huh? He said, if the person that you sleep with can't trust you, I damn sure can't. And I never thought about that. My mentor taught me something, bro. I'm serious, bro. I never thought about this in my life, bro.
Dave Banner's a really intelligent brother. I love this point. Dimitri, I have heard men make this point before, that if you aren't faithful, loyal, transparent, and honest with the person you vowed in front of your family and God to be all those things to, how can any man who doesn't have a lasting connection to you trust you that you'll be honest?
It's funny because I've always felt this, like always. Like it was never like a click in my mind or a realization in my mind. I don't know, maybe it's because my parents are still together 30 years, you know, clap it up for them. But I've always seen it as if you betray this person standing next to you, you'll do anything to anybody. Like you know, it's the same way I view people having kids. If you wrong your kids, you don't care for your kids, you'll never care for another human being the way you're supposed to.
Beating your kids.
I've always thought like that. And, you know, it's probably because, like, in our culture, you're praised for being a pimp and a player and XYZ and all of these things, but nobody actually spoke on the idea that having, you know, boundaries and respect and a level of commitment to someone is a lot harder than playing a field. You know what I'm saying, Torre? Like, people don't tell you that.
Lauren,
it's hard to be vulnerable, open up
Lauren, what do you think of
somebody to know who you are.
Yeah.
And,
Lauren, what do you think of this notion that if he will cheat on his wife, we can't trust him in business, in social, in anything else?
Well, I think it's something to be said for that, right? If a man's greatest possession, greatest thing is their family, right? If they cheat on their wife, then that's a way of destroying their family, right? And so if you potentially destroying your family. So if you destroy your family, why wouldn't you at some point destroy our business? If your allegiances change, right, where your values shift and your priorities shift in a way that would allow you to sleep with multiple women while telling one woman that you are committed to them as in a marriage, then why is it when I'm doing business with you, wouldn't I think that maybe if our relationship dynamic changed, you wouldn't be looking to shift that or compromise that in the name of your own personal gain? That's what they're saying. And honestly, I'm not, Dimitri, I'll be honest with you. I never really thought about it like this, but when you put that logic to it, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, let me tell you why it doesn't make a lot of sense. And Doc, I want you to jump into this. As we've covered on the show, men in general don't respect women. So when they do that, they are doing it to a person they already don't respect. They tend to respect other men. So I'm saying I would do that to somebody I don't respect, but I respect you. We have a contract. We're doing a deal. So the way that men look at men and women is totally different and completely misogynist. But the way that I'm going to treat somebody who I already look down on as a man has nothing to do with the way I'm going to treat somebody who I look up to as a man or I respect as a man. Doc.
You can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears, that fruit being character. Okay. And character shows up in all, not some, all of your relationships. I always say, if you're at the teller at the bank to see the teller in line, as long as you don't leave, what happens? You're next. That's how I feel about cheating. It's a character flaw to me. And after being in my field for 17 plus years and seeing the different ways that folks, men and women who cheat, have a different perspective on life in general, and they have a different level of lack of boundaries when it comes to relationships. And to your point, Torre, a different level of respect for relationships in general, to where they do what you just described. They compartmentalize. I don't respect women. They're in this box, but I respect men. I'm going to compartmentalize them here. And we all know that compartmentalization has an expiration date. So how long before Jack in the box that you compartmentalize them in comes popping out, and they do you just like they do the person they're in the bed with? Let me tell you why. Because a man who is a man of character and of value is putting his all into a business or into a business relationship for the fruits of his labor to benefit his family. And if you're doing that for the benefit of your family, that means that you are not taking any risk that you know for sure. I'm not talking about calculated risk. Any risk that you know for sure would demise, diminish, dismantle, destroy, or deceive your family who is at home. So I'll land on this. If you can lay in the bed with someone that you can procreate with, that you are building blocks with, and you can deceive them and cheat on them and lie to their face about cheating, because cheating is deception, that means that you carry and bear the seed of deception. That fruit at some point, as it is watered, will show up in your business relationships as deception as well. Wait, really quick. It may not show up the same as sleeping with somebody else, but it will show up in a different action or a different behavior that still models what deception and cheating looks like.
Dimitri, I don't think that we behave the same in every situation. And I think that some people may be deceptive. I think a lot of cheating revolves around sexual greed, that the man, this may blow the lady's mind, but a man can love a woman and also pursue or have another out of a sense of sexual greed, right? And he may put them on different planes in his mind and his heart, but like, I just want more. I want all the toys. I want all the cars. I want all the houses. Man is about acquisition, right? And I think that a man and a woman can compartmentalize forever and say, this is how I behave in my life over here, Dimitri, but in my business life, I'm different. I don't think we behave the same way every time.
The thing about it is, you're speaking on behavior. I think what Dr. Brown was speaking on is character and integrity. Regardless if your behavioral patterns change, your core character is the same way in every single relationship you hold. As friendships, as business relationships, if you lead with greed, you're going to be selfish in every aspect of your life. That's just how it is. See, the thing about it is, I I think that people don't really understand how gangster being committed is. Like, this is tough. You know what I'm saying? So let's say you were in love, right? And you still have sexual desires for another woman, to say, I'm not going to for this person is a very hard thing to do.
Let me add something to that equation now.
Listen.
Because we love her. We're not leaving her. Our lives are tied up. Our money is tied up. We got kids, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't had sex in 15 years. There's marriages that are saying that. You really are, or the friendship is there, but the spark isn't there.
That's the reality.
Now, how hard is it to not? Because
here's a difference.
Pilates is like, hey, you're cute. You're grown, but you're cute.
But here's the difference. The difference is relationships and marriage is a contract. The moment you void that contract, you have to satisfy your partner if that's what y'all signed up for. The moment you say, I'm not doing part of this contract, your partner has the option to walk away.
Hold on. I don't know many men who are, and many men and women are dealing with, I haven't had sex in a long time, or I haven't had enough sex in a long time, right? That's a normal complaint in a long-term marriage.
Yes.
Very few men are saying, I'm leaving because I'm not getting enough sex. Maybe because I'm not getting enough attention. I'm not getting enough nurturing, but not because I'm not getting, I can't be away.
But that doesn't make it okay, Torre, and I'll tag you and Judge. That doesn't make it okay because a man is saying he lacks the discipline, the obedience, and the integrity, right? To say, listen, I'm leaving before I deceive you. That is still a character flaw, because that man still does not have to stay in that relationship. Or if he doesn't want to leave, he can have an open conversation and say, listen, I don't want to leave you, but I have needs. How can we reshape this? How do we draw this out? What does this look like? And so what I'm saying is that still goes back to the person making the decision to deceive somebody when they have something called free choice and will. That we're not going to gaslight anybody, whether it's a male or female who decides not to satisfy their partner. That partner who's dissatisfied has a very executive hard choice to make, or a conversation to have that says, what do I do here where I do not deceive and I am still in integrity and this relationship can still hold its value?
Lauren, you love your partner. You love the friendship. You love the connection. I'm never leaving you. I'm taking care. I told everybody, your family, I'm taking care of you. But you're not helping me over here. I'm not leaving you because that's so much of the relationship is fine. But I need that. So I'm not trying to be a horrible person, but like I need that. So I'm gonna go get that and come back to you. Like,
but I feel like we've jumped the shark. We're all the way into sexless marriages. The question was, is it reasonable for a person to infer or to say, I don't want to do business with a person that cheats on their wife? And you just said that doesn't make sense at all. And what I feel like, because we do business differently than we do our marriages, I think that we're assuming that that person has some respect for the person they're doing business with. There are plenty of people who do business with people that is not based on mutual respect. It's on mutual return. There are plenty of people who are in business with people right now who make a profit off of that person, but don't respect them. We saw that in the Oval Office when Elon Musk's son said he ain't even president, and we know where he got it from, and we know the tone of it. We knew in that moment Musk does not in any way have any respect for Trump. He's doing business because he makes a profit by being in that. So what I'm going to end with is, if a person says, if that person cheats here, they may cheat me, I think that is a reasonable inference, whether it's business or personal. And it doesn't matter if that person would really cheat them. That's what I think we're missing in this conversation. It doesn't matter if they really would cheat them. Is it reasonable for me to look at the way you move and then say, I may not want to do business with you? I think is reasonable.
Yeah, because it shows capacity. It shows capacity to that person. I hear you, Judge. It's saying, if you do or you don't, I now know what you're capable of. Am I willing to sign up for the you may or you may not, but at least this, I know that you can. And anything you can do once, you can do twice, 3 times, and 4 times, because we are definitely folks who are on autopilot, and we learn how to create behaviors and doing what is called pathology over and over again.
But we all have different modes, and we pursue life in different ways. For one example, since we're talking about sort of sex and life, some people are into BDSM. which means that in some cases that they are very powerful at work and they tell everyone to do and they're alpha at work. And then they go in a quiet room and they become a sub and somebody beats the crap out of them. And that is completely different than the person they are on the, and to where if you saw them there, you'd be like, I can't believe the alpha CEO big dog is over here getting his butt kicked.
Torre keeps going to sex. Torre's in a sexless marriage.
Yeah.
No. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the way that life really is and how people have different modes and they approach different moments in life differently. And I think David Banner and Lauren's point is interesting. I also think that it is a bit lacking in the nuance of understanding that people come to different situations in different ways. And you may be big in one situation and small in another. You may feel a leader, you may feel like a follower, and that you have the ability to do that, to disrespect your partner over here, does not necessarily mean you have the ability to.
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Teray.
It's two different things. That's behavior versus character, integrity. I'm not going to hire you as my cashier if your last job you just got caught stealing. You didn't give, you took money from them, you take money from me. I'm not going to gamble on that chance. It's just that simple. Who you are when you go to work versus who you are at home, your behavior patterns should be different. There's different comfort levels. It's different people, but your integrity remains the same. That has nothing to do with, it's hard to compare who you are in a business sense to who you are sexually. That's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, because Torre, listen, Torre, the way I show up in the boardroom, you describe me. I'm muscle and I'm all dominant.
I listen to you. Because what did you say about your relationship? You said, what did you say about your relationship? You said when you go home, you are subby for your partner. You're a kept woman. That is entirely different than the person you show up as here.
100%. I'm agreeing with you. Let me tag me in. I'm agreeing with you. I am muscle in the boardroom, but I am all definitely in your word. I'm submitting in the room. Tie me up, whatever. That's fine with me. Daddy, yes, sure. I
love me like this.
Love me like this, baby. But let me tell you something. I still have the capacity in that relationship to turn up and be dominant in certain circumstances. So just because I'm submitting, right, to parts of the relationship romantically doesn't mean the dominant Cheyenne isn't showing up when I have to say, hold on, who in the fuck are you talking to like that? So what we're saying is, or what I'm saying, it sounds like me, Judge, and Dimitri are all saying that we're not saying that this person who cheated will cheat you out of business. For sure. What we're saying is they have the capacity to, which means that you're sitting across somebody who is deceptive. Now, whether or not they deceive you, you have to find out through your experience of working with him. But what David Banner is saying is, if I know that I'm sitting across you, who you tell me every day you have a side chick in the same city as your wife, we know you're deceiving her. We know that lying has become a norm for you. Lying is something that you thrive in. That's just what you do, is deceive and cheat. Then he understands that he has a choice to make that says, you know what? I don't want to sign myself up for the higher percentile that this man may deceive me in business. And I have to double check contracts and I have to see if this man is backdooring me, because it is true that integrity is a root. Actions show up differently. That's why cheating is a root, but cheating looks different depending on the person, depending on the definition, and depending on
Dimitri.
The chat's on fire. That's first off. The chat is jumping. Let me just try to make sense of what I'm saying versus what Torre said. Me personally, I'm one of the softest men you can ever deal with. I open doors, I kiss the forehead, hold your hands. In the bedroom, it goes from like Jane St. Patrick to like Ghost, like it's different. But I will not listen.
What just happened? What just happened?
All I'm saying is I still do not disrespect her to whatever sense she wanted. You know what I'm saying? But man, get in the chat. Ask the chat. They talking about it in the chat right now. Go ahead.
This is my pearls, and I am clutching them because Dimitri is talking about. Dimitri went way far. You went way left there.
It's still respect there. You know what I'm saying? Wherever we at. The integrity.
Okay. So that was fantastic. Y'all really came with it there. We're gonna keep coming with it. We are at war with Iran right now as Americans. So we're going.
I thought you said we were at war with you, Torre, because all three of us just cooked on that ass and ate you up. But you can continue.
I appreciate the fight, but like Thanos, I just smacked the three of y'all aside and then keep it moving. Got my 5 Infinity Stones, but this is politicking. The government of America has sent a chilling message to the world. If you want to study here, all you have to do is hand over your digital life. In a dramatic shift, the State Department says that they are resuming student visa applications. That's good. But now they want full access to your social media accounts. I thought this was a country where we had the First Amendment and you could say what you want. What was once a gateway to opportunity now seems like you got to pay a surveillance price tag to get there, forcing students to choose between education and privacy and the right to say what you want in a country that claims to be all about the First Amendment. So, Judge Lauren, this seems completely anti-American, very big brother, very much a violation of the First Amendment and our sense of privacy. And like, is this right? And do you think at some point this leapfrogs to all Americans?
I think we've already leapt. I mean, we've been in Big Brother since we got these. I hope people know that, right? I mean, everything that we say, everything that we do, at least as a lawyer and as a mother and as a woman in this country, that's what I think. We're already being recorded, and we already, our First Amendment, rights have already been compromised. But I'll say this about this for the students, seeking visas. They are citing, right, the U.S. State Department on the website did cite that there were some security concerns connected to why they want this to be public. Now, that's what they say on its face. That's the reason why they don't just have to, I think you used to just have to give all of your handles for the last 5 years, but now they want them all to be public. And they say it's in the interest. They don't want people hiding anything. It's the interest of public safety. I will say, though, if you read the news lately, you know that there are even American citizens that have been returning home from trips going through customs where they've been reporting that they've been having their phones taken and people looking through their phones to see what they're talking about as well. And so I think we have literally let this train leave the station. And this is where, for me, America becomes this conundrum of you don't know what to be mad at today, because on the one hand, somebody taking your phone at customs when you're a citizen of this country and looking all through your phone and you're like, this is a violation, but then eggs are $12 and then there's tariffs and then your neighbors are being arrested in the front of your house and they're just trying to do your lawn. And then now we're at war with Iran. Like, we are overloaded to where I think we're in this conundrum of our rights being violated. We don't even know where to begin.
Dimitri, yes, this is a violation of rights, but I want to go a little deeper because there is at least one specific thing that keeps coming up in these sort of sweeps. You can't be pro-Palestinian. If you are voicing pro-Palestinian, not even anti-Israeli, just pro-Palestinian, not even pro-Hamas, just pro-Palestinian sentiments, that is enough for them to want to kick you out of the country or put you in jail.
It's funny because our nation forces you to buy into their notions. It's amazing to me that, like, you tweet anything like that, you post anything like that in real time. This is not even about overseas. This is here. You post anything like that, you post anything anti-Trump, all your algorithms crash. This is a fact. You're already being watched, like Lauren Lake said. And the thing about it is, for me, what I've noticed is, like, it's breadcrumb. They'll breadcrumb you at first. It makes you hungry. They'll throw you a little bit. First, they start watching them. Then they publicly start watching us. They telling us what they finna do. And I feel like this is next in line. I used to feel real creeped out when I would look up something. I look up it one time. And then for 2 weeks straight, I keep seeing the same thing go on my timeline. You ain't go to the movies. You said you wanted to go to the movies. You looked it up. Why ain't you at the movies? Like, it's crazy. It's scary. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's there and it pushes to us.
Doc, we are improved by the world coming here to study. I think we are doing something detrimental to the future of the country, telling the smartest people around the world, if you come here, you can't say anything about Palestine. You can't say anything about certain problems that we don't want you to talk about. That will lead to fewer intelligent people wanting to come here. Many of them will stay here and create things and make America better.
Yeah, I don't think folks aren't going to come. I think America is still the American dream for so many who are not here, who are abroad. I do think that the concern with the immigrants is that look, they want data. They don't care about anything else from these people, but they're collecting data. Data in media are the biggest billion-dollar industries. They want data. They also want to be able to have access to their academic records, their personal records, and lastly, but they get to do location tracking when they have access to certain applications or things that have to do with what you're using on your phone. And that gives them access to be able to have data to share, to sell, and to use in any point in time. And what I did do in my research is a lot of the immigrants were saying that they felt like the DHS and ICE would be able to access them through this data and finding out where these immigrants are and be able to have access to come in and do what they want with just them, their location and their data. So that's when I read it up, it was more of the students being having an issue with this is a privacy breach and I may be over here on a visa, right? But what if family or other people come? You have access to the people I communicate with on my device, which means you have access to my data, my family, my whereabouts, my locations, and the nature of our conversation. I feel like it's a huge breach of privacy. Huge, because
Lauren,
it goes deeper than just.
How is this legal, Lauren?
Well, I just said the U.S. Department of State said it's national security. It's if you're. Yep. I think what was happening was people were giving. If you were trying to get a visa and you were a student coming into this country, you had to give your social media handles. Well, you gave the handles, but then a lot of the handles, they just made them private. So what was happening was as Doc said, the information they're trying to get, the data, trying to research who you are, they're getting blocked out because it's private now. So now their thing is before you even go through the process, just know your handles need to be public. Now, with that said, they can always rely on the national security component, especially given the circumstances and the political landscape that we're in right now. They can always say, listen, this is because we're trying to protect America and Americans. However, it is leaning towards a total violation. And I mean, many people would say that it is because I don't feel like in this nation, where do we really hold on to a true First Amendment right anymore, a right to privacy, a right to speech? I mean, you see it being corrupted right in front of us. Yeah. And given what we've talked about this week, we haven't really gotten a plan to really fight this. I mean, we're really, it's kind of just happening to us. Yeah. And we are still sitting back trying to figure out, well, we're going to sue and then we're going to march, then we're going to, no, we better not go out there. I mean, we don't have a plan.
That is true.
They once said, if you look at the word internet, right? Once you're caught in the net, you caught, you stuck. That's
okay.
I'm just
all right. You're all right. You could have left that in the chat. Let's move on. Save Dimitri from the main topic. The main topic I've been waiting to get into. I think Dr. Bryant wrote this whole script because this is like right in her strike zone. The mental health movement forgot about us. Society does not see Black men as humans who hurt. We're protectors, providers, punching bags, thugs, rappers, athletes, whatever Dimitri is. And we internalize that. We're raised to be hard, not whole. I remember Pasta News from De La Soul said, fuck being hard, Pasta News is complicated. That's one of the best lines that I ever heard. I don't want to be hard. I want to be whole. So you stuff the pain, you ignore the trauma, and you call it strength. That is not strength. We've seen inclusive therapy spaces, but they don't feel like they are inclusive of Black men. I'm not knocking anyone's healing journey, but I feel like Black men are always last on the list when we're talking about mental health healing journeys. The wellness industry is thriving, and a lot of people, many Black people, are getting more and more interested in therapy. Some Black men are. Charlamagne the God talks about it all the time, right? But we know the suicide rate for Black men is way higher than the suicide rate for Black women. And that's a problem. Are Black men being left out of mental health conversations and mental health spaces?
Absolutely. And suicide rate over the past year has risen by 149% in Black adolescents. And it has raised by 40% in men 35 and older, Black and male. And so although our suicide rate with our Black men is lower than white men, it is raising at 100 and something percent, which is a huge concern. Black men aren't even, y'all aren't even included in politics and policies for healthcare initiatives. You're not even in the conversation at the presidential debate. Let's just keep it real. They cover Black women a little bit about our mortality rate when giving birth. They don't even touch on you guys' mental health, your prostate, your diabetes, any of that. You're not even in that conversation. Why do I say that? Because when you look at Black men and mental health, it's not that Black men are resistant to it. It's that Black men are not supported or guided to it, one. And if you take into account that mental health, it costs. It's not free. And or you have to have health insurance, which means you have to have a job. And I'm not, pun intending, our Black men. I'm speaking from a reality perspective of socioeconomically, with Black men being at the lower economic totem pole, they don't always have the funds to fund their mental health. They just don't. And we don't have, right? And we don't have initiatives that say, hey, if for low income brothers, do you get free mental health sessions? We don't have that. I even have provided free sessions for many Black men because I understand the disparity in it. And I want to say this, I've had Black men reach out to me and say, Doc, I want your services, but I can't afford it. And I say, well, what can you afford? And they don't even say $60 or $80. I've had some say $20 a session. How do I say no to a man who's saying, I want help, but I can't afford your session because you cost too much, nor do I have health insurance that can cover it. But hold on, but I'm in a suicidal crisis. There's no way that I can say no. Now, daily impairment, I might say, well, let me refer you to somebody else. But a crisis, no.
But we see in somebody who would take your offer or the opportunity to work with you and value it at $20, which in my experience is about a tenth of what you should get for an hour of your experience. Is that about right?
You're saying that $20 is a tenth of what I should get?
Yeah.
On average, an average therapy session is about $265. My rates are a lot more higher, but $265, $275 is the average going. That's expensive as hell.
Well, it is, but he doesn't value the experience of sitting with someone like you because he thinks that's worth $20, right? He understands a courtside seat at the game is worth $1,000 or whatever, but your situation, he does not understand the value of it. So he's like, I'll give you $20 for it. You understand?
But I think deeper. Yeah, I think deeper than that, Touré, is when a man is in despair, lost his job, can't provide for his kids, has a wife, he's trying to find employment, he can't process his emotions because, there's no emotional availability, there is no emotional intelligence. And he has built a horrible relationship with his emotions because he was told as a little boy, to shut up, suck it up, chest up, head up, no crying, boys don't cry, what are you doing? And so that is how he's navigating the world. And then he sees a clip of Dr. Brian coincidentally on Instagram. And I say something that really touches something in him that he says, you know what, this might be the one. I actually do need it. This is it. And that's his moment of breakthrough. That man is broke in his spirit and broke in his pockets. That's not a man who's at a court seat game. That's a man who was saying, how do I survive where I'm at? Because that man could have been a man who had his stuff together, who had a job, was able to provide, but he hit something called a hardship. And this is where interventive therapy plays a role. Everybody, especially Black folks and Black men, are not being preventative in their mental health. They're usually coming in my session of my 17 plus years of doing this when they're saying, I am burnt out. I'm on my last straw and I am losing it. And I completely have no other resource.
Dimitri, is the mental health movement, the entire thing, is it truly inclusive or not really?
Absolutely not. But I think before we even complain about it being inclusive, we have to complain about the idea of us ignoring it first. It being taught to ignore. And then there's two parts to it. And I think as a Black man, I can speak on it because it's very layered. There's the part of being Black, and then there's the part we have to address of being a man. And what that means is I naturally grew up thinking the mental health comes last because I'm already dealing with the struggles of being Black. My mother trying to teach me how to go out and be Black in America. Just society alone, how to deal with police, how to deal with the fact that I'm already valued as last when it comes to applicants, how to do all these other things. Mental health cannot be the first thing on my mind. And then it comes to being a man. You have all the society's pressures of leading and being this dad who can teach. And you got all these things, how you got to treat women, how much money you got to make. And then mental health comes in. And I think now is the fact, I actually start therapy next week. Funny.
Nice. Good.
It's crazy. Thank you.
What motivated you to go? What motivated you to go to therapy?
I've always felt like I think there's more to discover about me and my traumas and how I've grown from it and how I've reacted to it. I've always told people give me this credit for helping everybody and helping them see themselves and telling, cueing my emotional intelligence. And for those who don't know what emotional intelligence is, it's your ability to understand, manage, express your own feelings, thoughts, and emotions. I tell people all the time, in my opinion, the movie Inside Out should be studied at colleges because this is things a lot of men actually skip in terms of expressing.
Well, that's a great suggestion. That's
Absolutely.
a great definition. I want to make sure we get in one word.
Ability to react to others. As someone is giving you emotion, how are you interpreting it? Are you internalizing it?
First, with emotional intelligence, we have to be able to recognize our own emotions, right? Sure. Which is difficult for men. Just can you say what emotion you are feeling at a given moment? Can you sit with it? Can you observe it without getting trapped in it? Can you let it flow out? Hold on. Can you let it flow out of you so that it plays itself out and moves on? Just the ability to name how you are feeling is emotional intelligence. Very difficult for most men. Go ahead, Doc.
But is there a safe space for men to do that? Did you grow up surviving in your household? Did you grow up in a wilderness where feeling wasn't even safe? So when you're telling someone to identify their emotions, they're going, what emotions? I never felt that. I didn't have a space to do that. And when I did, I was either silenced, in trouble, or looked at as weak or other things. So I grew up learning that emotions don't serve me. So I'm not going to process something that doesn't produce anything for me. I'm going to suppress it, throw it away, or I'm going to allow it to externalize in ways that I don't understand how to articulate. That's how you get the black on black crime from men. That's how you get angry black men who don't know where to place their emotions at because they don't have a relationship with emotions. And if you don't have a relationship with emotions, guess what you lack? Self-love, because love is an emotion. How do you love yourself if you don't know how to feel and be in contact and be in awareness of self? Just like Dimitri said, I'm going to therapy because I'm in my self-discovery space. I'm discovering more parts of me, more parts of who I am that I can love more. He's also going to get in contact with emotions that he's never felt, which I hope he allows himself to be vulnerable when he feels them. If crying comes up, cry. If confusion comes up, say, I'm confused. But we have to learn to be okay with not being okay and not having to be numb, right? Not having to be numb as a way of saying, I'm strong, because being unhuman or being dehumanized is not strong. It strips you of everything that you are and everything that you're meant to be. And then you have nothing to offer your partners, your kids, the world, your loved ones, because what you offer is you. And if you don't know you, you give people deficits of you. You give people trauma.
Your emotions shape the world around you and the way that you see and respond to the world around you. And if you are unaware of your emotions and how you feel, it is like moving through the world without acknowledging the weather. And you're like, why am I wet? Because it's rainy and you're not wearing a raincoat. Why am I sad? Because you are depressed and you are not admitting to yourself and perhaps other people, I am depressed. And depression is a more long-term thing. Emotional intelligence is also about just how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling joyful, angry, melancholy, sad? Just being able to be aware of how you feel. And that is self-awareness. Is huge to be you being able to show up in the moment in the fullest way and the best way for your family, your friends, and the people around you. Because we all have been around a person who is angry or sad or depressed, and they're not aware of it. And now we have to deal with their emotions coming on me when they're not even aware of how they're coming off. And you have the right to feel however you want to feel. But if you are aware of it, then you can manage it better with the people around you. I want to
And
run
knowing how to process it with self, and I'll tag you and Dimitri, because as much as it looks like Black men have this narcissistic arrogance about them, it's more of them lost in the sauce of their emotion. It's more of them not understanding that self-love is feeling and standing on my square and choosing me. And that is okay to choose you from a self-love perspective, not from a place of trauma and not understanding that I've always had to choose myself because nobody chose me. I've always had to be the only one, me against the world. That's a different perspective of someone who is emotionally unavailable to themselves. So they are emotionally unavailable to their issues. It takes emotions to even heal. It takes emotions to process through things. You cannot heal unless you first feel, deal, and then heal. There's no healing if you ain't feeling it.
As I'm sitting and thinking, a question that comes to mind is, why are we this way? And I think that's because in our culture, we're raised just as boys and girls. We're not raised as a human being. Like, we don't get choices as children, right? So they tell you how to grow up, how to be tough, what you got to do, X, Y, Z. But I was always the kid to question. When one thing came up broke and they wanted to whoop everybody, I was like, this statistically don't make sense. Only one of us could have did this. I was always that kid. I was super inquisitive. So as a child, I'm like, you telling me I shouldn't cry or feel this way, but I have the ability to feel this way. I want to understand it to a deeper level. So I didn't grow up in a household where emotional intelligence was a thing. I taught it to my parents. And my mother will sit and tell you, she said, as a 50-year-old woman, I understand myself better than I did because of my child. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, me and my mother have an incredible relationship. But the thing about it is, I'm finna be 30, right? I'm a year from 30. I just turned 29 the other day, but I'm a year from 30. And I told myself, the reason I want to get in therapy, because regardless or not, all this emotional intelligence and self-awareness you have, what a lot of people don't understand about this, it takes one experience to shape how you move forever going forward. You could have had one scare in the dark when you was younger and fear the dark your whole life. One paper cut could have stopped how you grab things.
One thing that I did when I think I was 10 or 12 when my grandmother passed. She meant everything to my father. He, out of the 4 brothers, his 3 older brothers, he was the one who was there for her every day in the last years when she could no longer even recognize him from his older brother who was dead for 30 years, whatever. When my mom said that she had passed finally, my thought was, is Dad going to cry in front of me? Because my dad was this tough Taurus bull, nothing bothers him. And to see him cry would have bothered me. And I'm realizing later in life that I thought he was one way, stoic and strong, and that if he cried, that would be wrecked. And and my mother said, well, he's not going to cry in front of you, which is also like, he should have cried in front of me. He should have let me know, like, it is okay to cry in this situation. And even a big, tough man is going to cry sometimes. And he didn't cry in front of me. And then I didn't cry at his funeral. I was sad, but I didn't cry. And I think there's still things that are trapped in me and coming out of me like years later because I wasn't emotionally aware and intelligent enough to let the feelings, you got to let the feelings out. You got to sit in them and let them out. You have to embrace them. You can't, we want to like run past them. And I think a lot of Black men feel like we're bulletproof and that, like Black women are not the only ones hurting. Like we are hurting as well. We are not bulletproof. And I want to run a little bit of Philip Roundtree's great TED Talk to get a little bit more in this month of Black mental health awareness. A little more on this issue. Let's run Philip Roundtree's piece.
Here in America, when we think about mental health, we think about the homeless man who's walking the streets, talking nonsensically to themselves. We think about the white celebrity who takes their life via suicide. We think about the white mass murderer who goes into a high school and takes the lives of innocent children. Or it's usually your president who loves to tweet venom from the hip. But see, rarely does the conversation speak of a father of 2 kids Someone who possesses a master's in exercise science, a master's in social work, somebody pursuing a doctorate. Rarely is it a person of color. Rarely is it a black man.
It's beautiful. And Doc, he is making the plea that we're talking about, that we should be more emotionally intelligent. But it's hard. And as I said earlier in this conversation, one of the groups of people who will rapidly police black male crying, black male sadness, are black women. The black women around us are our wives and girlfriends, our sisters, our friends, our mothers, grandmothers, telling us, don't cry, and will be super accepting of a woman's breath of emotions, but not a man's. What do you think about the way women police male emotions?
So I don't think women police male emotions. I think what you described is called a mommy issue. Possibly a black man who grew up with a mother who happens to be black. Not all black mamas are like this, what I'm about to describe, but who happens to be a black mama who she doesn't reinforce crying or reinforce emotions. And so he had to shut down. And if she was a single mom, he also had to be the father. And I said this before, however, he identifies with his father who wasn't there, which obviously this child has to find no value in a father who in his narrative found no value in him. That black man grows up to see himself exactly how he views his father, because he is that in his narrative until he heals from that and reprograms that narrative. So he grows up to view black women and clothe us as his mother, as a woman who is policing his emotion. He doesn't find or see safety in us from the beginning of the first interaction. It doesn't matter what we do or how we create it until that particular man processes his emotions, processes his trauma, his parenting issues, and his identity crisis that's created as a result of father not being in the home and mother having to parent him in a way that didn't allow him to have a mother. Because when a mother is a single mom, she's not a mother. She's also protecting and providing. So all he really had was a father in a woman's body. And that is very confusing and conflicting for men and boys as they grow up, because you don't see a father, you see a woman who's protecting and providing. So now you're going, wait a minute. And when you grow up to identify with other women who happen to look like your mother, okay, by race or by gender, then you also group her into that at which your mom and you's relationship has taught you that women are not safe, particular black women are not safe, that this black woman is to do the same thing, protect and provide for you and cover you. And so you never learn how to cover her. So now you got all of these huge issues that this man comes into. And if he doesn't get into therapy, he doesn't have the awareness of it. So what happens? That black woman may start to, even if she does it kindly or nicely or gently, call him out on these things. And what that does is it disempowers him. And I'll land on this. And it makes him feel hopeless about being able to be a man, a father, or a husband at the level that he thought his ideology of what his father should have did for him, he cannot reach. Hold on. So it creates an even more disheartening, disempowered hopelessness in him. And we all know that hope deferred does what? It makes the heart sick. So now you have a sick man who needs to be in therapy in someone's chair, being treated for the sickness that I just unraveled right in front of you in 1 minute or in 30 seconds.
Lauren,
that's
I think
the issue and the brunt of what's going on with our black men. There's many black women, I'm one of them, who I enforce black men to be in their vulnerability. When I see Dimitri, he's on here, I hug and kiss and embrace him as a friend. This is not my man. And when Dimitri talks about certain situations, I make sure I make myself available. There's women who do that, Torre.
There's women who do that. Doc, Dimitri, I don't think she's right at all. I think that when we feel sad, black women disengage and they do not really want to support us being sad. They want our strength. They want us to be providers. And I respect that. And I want to be a provider. But I feel like when I am coming to you, black woman, with joy, with intelligence, with many positive things, with strength, I'll be your rock. Like, she's there. When I'm sad, I think for a lot of women, they're like, I don't like picking you up. I don't want you to be emotional. I'll be there for my girlfriend, my wife, my mother, my grandmother, my sister, my grandma, but not for the man. What do you think?
And you're talking about the black women who have carried y'all black asses from slavery?
Dimitri right now.
You're talking about those black women? who have carried y'all from the slavery days, who actually freed y'all, who actually were the women on the bus, the women on the train.
I gotta disagree. I gotta largely disagree because we're taking a thing and we're generalizing it, saying because your father wasn't in the household or because of this or because of that. When that may be the case for some. It's not the case for all. In today's society, women do not know how to handle an emotional, intelligent man, a man who is in tune with his own self. If he comes to you and he feels he needs a space to cry, women do not provide it and say, let me hold you, I got you. I like to deem myself an emotionally intelligent man, very aware. This generation does not know what to do with that. I've been in relationships where it was dismissed, even in joy. Toray, you said even in joy, sometimes they burn your joy to the ground based on how they feel, based on what they want. It's not safe for a man to be emotional. And I'm gonna give myself a pass. And the only reason I'm gonna give myself a pass is because the world has saw me as an emotional man. So that's what they lead with. I understand this man is, but for the average man to come to a woman with a problem, if you're not macho and strong, I'm going to get the next nigga to do it. If you need a moment or a break, I'm going to go to the next man and he can handle it. So no, I cannot agree with that narrative. This generation is different. It's not all women, because typically outside of a household, women know how to handle a man better. In a friendship relationship or an auntie or a mother or in a romantic situation, a woman would rather leave than watch her man cry.
Lauren, I think that he makes a great point that there's a small emotional register that women accept from men. And when we go way outside of that to sadness, they're like, no, I don't want that.
Okay. I've been listening and I've been learning. I'm raising a young Black man right now with the very present father, but I'm still his mother. And I'm listening to everything you're saying and I'm really taking it in because it's always been my understanding that women, especially mothers, raise their daughters and coddle their boys.
Yep.
And so to hear you all consistently talk about how women don't support men in their tears or in their fears or it has completely been my opposite experience. But I just really wanted to be quiet and hear it because the important thing is not what's been my experience, but what you're saying that men feel, right? That there isn't enough room for the emotions and room for the tears and room for this. And I think about the way that I'm raising my son. And I do constantly tell my son, and he's very emotionally intelligent, and I'm happy about that. But I do tell him, there's only so long you're going to sit and cry about this or be upset. Then we're going to sit down and figure out, what do you want to do? How do you think you can do it? He knows about therapy, knows about counseling. But I think in my experience, I find that a lot of the cycle that men find themselves in sometimes it's a result of a lack of discipline that many men don't want to admit. And you're disconnected from the source and you no longer value the things that really should be valued. And to Dimitri's point, I'm sure in the types of transactional relationships that are happening now in these generations where it is sex for a bag. And if you can't get me a bag and fly me out, then somebody else will. But if the man is truly the leader, then you allow that relationship to set that tone. And if you don't want that woman, then go find someone that already has her own things and you have that opportunity. And every time I get on this thing about men and lack of discipline and those things, I see the scootings in the chairs and the eye rolling, and I don't think we're ever going to get anywhere until men reconnect to the source. And the source, especially of a Black man's strength, has always been the family. And I find that men are now creating too many families that they can't afford. If we're going to go there, let's go. Y'all can talk for an hour.
I think there's
a lot of families now that then you're having trouble taking care of.
All right, I'm with you.
Hold on. I didn't interrupt anybody. Yeah, this is my business. This is what I've done for the last 12 years. Is help men reconnect themselves to children and families that they've created. There is a lot going on in our community that we don't want to talk about. And I'm not saying women are not at fault, but what I'm not going to do is turn this conversation into what women do, the way our last conversation on women's mental health turned into a conversation about men. I'm trying to talk about what I'm noticing in men. And I do think we are avoiding our strength, and our strength comes from strong families, which we're not forming. And I think when you need that support, you're trying to get it from the girl that really only likes you for what you can buy her. But you're too busy in here not understanding what you're dealing with, so you're not getting what you need. And now all women are wrong, when there are tons of women out here that want a solid man that not only wants to go to therapy, but wants to go to therapy with them and have a great relationship. But that's not necessarily the women men are pursuing right now. And so now the lack of discipline, sexual discipline, and otherwise has led to a plethora of factors that literally mess you up mentally. And then now it's all women's fault because y'all can't cry. And I'm just sitting here saying to myself, like, how did this happen? We support
Lauren, that's compelling. That's powerful. I see Dimitri shaking his head.
Yeah, I can't really agree on that stance. The whole narrative, I disagree with the entire thing. The thing about it is we're having a conversation on Black men's mental health, and you're putting us in the exact same gun and saying it's resulted in y'all trauma. It's resulted in y'all history. It's resulted in something you didn't do right with your mother. I had a great relationship with my mom. I had a great relationship with my dad. I still struggle with mental health. And the thing about it is it's not always your trauma. Sometimes it's how you have room and space in life with the people you're dealing with. And I know out of 100 examples, I give you 100 examples. Times I've went to women and she said, girl, you know, this nigga just told me he feels sad. What he got to be sad about? XYZ, blah, blah, blah. It's not, and that's the problem. The problem ain't what my mama did. No, the problem is what you're not allowing me to tell you. I should not feel more comfortable running to therapy than I do my partner. My partner should say, okay, baby, how can I help? How can I allow you to feel better? But instead, you'd rather find a man and be with a man who does not feel. Miss Judge, I don't know about your generation, but I'm telling you about mine. Mine would rather start completely over than help a man. And the thing about it is, that's because we've got so attached to this narrative that Black women build men. What about a man who got it for himself? He's just sad today. We dismiss this whole narrative in saying men need to go heal. Men need to go do this. Understand your point in saying we create families that we can't take care of. Me? No, not me. Never envisioned being a single father in my life. Was not my choice. When I was going through my mental health issues, she decided to go do something else. Black men always get the blame for shit like this. And apologies, I'm not cussing at you. I put a little seasoning salt when I talk. You know what I'm saying? But for me, the idea of it is, it's not always us. Sometimes we show up the way we need to. Sometimes we go to our partner and say, baby, I'm not feeling good. But you know what happens? It's easier to talk to that side girlfriend you got than it is the one you're taking care of. And that's the problem. The problem is you run around, have a baby over here with this girl who actually heard you instead of the one you live with. And I'm not making excuses for men doing dumb shit because I believe it's dumb shit. But what I do know is most Black women have an answer to why you should not feel the way you feel instead of hearing how you do feel.
Lauren, what about what he's saying that, and we're both saying a lot of Black women are not receptive when their man is saying, I'm sad, I'm depressed, those dour emotions. And I think a lot of women don't really want to deal with that from a man. What do you think?
I think that you're right. I want to stop. I'm trying to be delicate here because I really do want to hear and I really do want to learn, but I want to be honest as well. No woman does want to sit around with a crybaby man all day that just can't understand that, yes, we all have our emotions. We're going to listen. We're going to walk through it. If you're down and out, if I got to hold it down for a while, I'm going to hold it down. I don't know what's going on in your generation, Dimitri, but from what I can see, sitting on the bench on my show, I know that there's some definite and real issues going on that are different, but I don't really know a Black woman. There are very few Black women I know in their life that have never been through a period where they didn't have to hold a man down, and they did it. And they did it well. And you know what? The majority of them, that man is not with them anymore. the one that held him down. So but I'm not talking about women. We're talking about men. So before we go and get up on our soapbox, that is very real. I do not in any way negate what you're saying, Dimitri or Teray. And I'm going to be honest with you. We do want protection in this world. So yeah, you can cry, spend the afternoon sliding down the wall. We can go get us some Big Macs and an extra large fry and 2 milkshakes. But in the morning, we gonna come up with what we gonna do. Do we need counseling?
How did McDonald's get in this?
Do we need a loan? Do you need me to hold it down? What you not gonna do is go out there and be having sex with 2 and 3 and 4 girls, then come back sitting up on my couch talking about I just been so depressed.
But Lauren,
no,
I'm sorry, Lauren, and maybe Doc, you deal with this. You that was great, but you went way farther than I'm just talking about. And yes, respect to all the sisters who held men down when they had difficult times in their lives. I'm talking about I came home I'm sad because Dr. Bryant was mean to me when we were doing the show.
Oh my God.
Now my baby is like, I don't have time for your sadness. Like you can deal with my sadness. Hold on.
The answer just came out. The answer just hit the table. Black women contribute a man being sad to me having to hold him down. That's not what I'm asking.
That is not true. That's
what you said. That's what you said. We were talking about being sad and depressed. You're talking about I gotta hold you down.
No, that is not what I see. And I love this moment. I love this moment because what I'm saying and what you're hearing is different. What I'm saying and what you're hearing is different. You're hearing that because you cried, now you can't handle yourself and I gotta hold it down for you, which is what I said was after you finish crying and we eat our fast food and we go to bed and you cry it out, when the morning, let's figure out what we gonna do, baby.
I'm with you.
I'm with you. When I'm crying.
Hold on, Tori.
I can't cry to you.
Hold on, Tori. Hold on.
You didn't hear that.
Listen to the rhetoric in which you're spitting it out. You said, listen. You said, because you want to be a crybaby. Listen to how you're addressing it.
Not a crybaby.
You addressing a man you love that stands next to you and sleep next to you in the bed saying, because you want to be a crybaby. No, maybe because he's human.
That's not how I led that. I let it out that no Black woman wants a man that's a crybaby all the time. We don't.
Why gotta be a crybaby all the time?
We didn't even
I come home one day
and
I'm
I didn't
sad.
say that you are a crybaby all the time. You asked, I think I was asked a question.
See, and this, Judge, this is exactly my point. You guys have done a great job of making my point of what I said earlier about mommy and parenting issues, that Black men can be in denial if they want to be. Let me tell you what happened. They heard their trauma. They didn't hear you. Let me say it again. They heard their trauma. They didn't hear you. And let me say this, Dimitri. Just because your mom's in the house, no pun intended to mama, because I've met her and love her, doesn't mean you had a healthy relationship with her. Let me go further. Had a man, including you, had a healthy relationship with their mother, you would have the proper tools to choose a happy relationship or a healthy relationship with a woman. Learned behavior is real. And you learn as a man, because a man is what his mama makes him. You learn from your mother what a healthy relationship is with a woman. And so if you're going out and choosing women who are emotionally unavailable and not able to support you, facilitate you emotionally, because they're looking at you like your trauma hurt her, say, a crybaby, versus what she really said, which was, I will support you in it and figure out how we can get there. But I want you to dry your tears at some point so we can move forward and build, is what she said. But let me say it again. If your mama doesn't have a good relationship with you, but she's in the home and she's present, it doesn't teach you the tools on how to choose a healthy woman. You choose your mama in that woman. You choose your trauma in that woman. And so therefore, it goes back to mommy issues, trauma that we're hearing that eclipse us from hearing what someone is saying. Because if a person's not used to hearing their mother support them, then support sounds like trauma, like it did from Judge onto your ears. It lays dead on the ears. So it goes back to the issues that we don't want to address. And every time I say say mommy issues to a black man who's not ready to heal, he's highly triggered. And every time I talk about a black man not being able to hear a woman support him, he's highly triggered. Hold on, where the trigger is where the pain is. So when you go to therapy, you got to talk about where you're resistant to, because where the resistance is where the pain is. And healthy parents teach their kids how to choose healthy relationships. Not healthy parents.
I'm only triggered because you in left field. You ain't over here. We dealing with the issue. You in left field.
No, you in left field. You in your trauma field. You're here in trauma. We're speaking.
Look, another black woman rejecting my emotions. Right here, right on the show.
Definitely rejecting what you're saying, and I'm standing on
right there. It's happening right now.
Right, because I'm not going to trauma bond with you. Right now, you're having a trauma response, and I'm not going to trauma bond with you. What I'm going to do is support you and call you out on it and say, listen, I will hear what you have to say, but you're not going to gaslight me to say that me or Judge Lauren said we don't support you and all you guys are as crybabies. What we said was we support you. What do you need from us? So we can help you wipe your tears, because there is an expiration. Even if you're single, there's an expiration on how long you grieve before you start to rebuild. We want to support you and love you in it, but we can't support your trauma, because if we support your trauma, we trauma bond with you. And then if we support your trauma bond with you, you pull us into your darkness. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
I just want to make this clear. Torre, can I ask you a few questions?
Please,
when we began this conversation, it was about being sad and going home and telling your partner, correct?
Yes.
Well, who mentioned crybaby in this conversation?
No one.
Me.
Listen. Hey, who mentioned?
Lauren did.
I said what I said.
Lauren did.
Hold on now. Let me get you now. The thing about it is,
get me, baby.
y'all are making a man's emotion seem like generational trauma around here. That's not what we're addressing. I don't have a problem with my mom because my money low. That's not what we got. That's not what we got going on. What's going on is, all we're saying is that for a man to go to his woman and she rejects my emotions, I don't know where else to go. And that's happening for a lot of black men out here in this generation. And I just want to fix this narrative out here. Listen, me and my mother has always been fine. We always been best friends. We got our hiccups, but that ain't what I'm addressing in therapy. I just want to know myself a little better. But, listen, maybe the chat.
Let me ask you a question, Dimitri. If you have a good relationship with your mom, which I know you do because I've seen it, how do you have nowhere to go? This is what I mean by this is your trauma. Now I got my Dr. Brian hat on. If you're saying you have a healthy relationship with your mother or even any woman, your auntie, and you say you have nowhere to go, I would say as your doctor, you do have somewhere to go. Your trauma is telling you you are alone and you have nowhere to go, or you're creating a false narrative because you really don't have somewhere to go. And the people you have been going to have been failing you. They're present, but they're not facilitating a safe space for you. So we're not talking to you right now.
What I said is happening to black men. That Dimitri and I both said we have no place to put our sadness because our women don't want it. And both of you said in highfalutin language, no, we don't want it.
No, Torre,
what are we talking about here?
We just gave him a place to go, and you guys are doing exactly what you guys did. Exactly what Judge Lauren said. This is what the crybaby looks like. This is not a grown man.
You see? She just did it. They both did it. I'm talking about a man being sad. They both said crybaby.
Wait, two grown men who can't process emotional intelligence because you can't hear us. You only hear yourself, but we hear you. We hear you say you have no one question.
I got one question. For the women in the chat, I just got to know this. For women in the chat, please tell me what y'all hearing right now. I need women and men to drop in the chat and tell me whose side y'all on right now. Because I think what we're saying is very clear. I think they taking it somewhere else and then labeling us for it.
Like, you heard in this conversation?
No, what I think you missed was exactly what I led and said was that there is no woman, and I don't even think a white woman or a Hispanic woman. I don't think there's a woman out here that every day her man comes through the door, she want him to be crying about something.
But we're not saying every day.
But then Dimitri, if you said one time, then you've got to use your listening cap and know that I led with. If you come in and you're upset about something, of course I want to hear. I said, let's cry. Does anybody listen? I said, let's cry. I said, let's go get us some French fries.
No, but
Judge
I'm talking
Lauren,
about our generation.
Get talked over. Here comes the gaslight. Here comes the gaslight. When I bring, here comes the mansplaining. Now you gonna tell me what I said. That's not true. You all are living out.
No, Judge, you're not hearing me. We're talking over each other. I'm not saying it's you. I'm sure your husband has a very safe emotional space to talk to you. All I'm saying is in this generation, you saying women don't want it every day. Women don't want to hear it once, is what we say.
Can I please respond to this? Can I please respond to this? So if these are the kind of relationships that men today are in, where they don't feel safe to come home, I don't know this world, because every man I have ever dated has cried to me at one point or another, and I didn't love them any less. But one thing they didn't do was spend a whole month and year crying about something when we could get together and solve it. If these are the kinds of relationships young men are engaging in where they do not feel safe, I want you to begin to lead the way you were born to lead. And to develop, hold on, to develop and to cultivate quality relationships. Be more discerning in the women that you choose, so that when you need that safe space, it's there. And you don't expect Miss Flyout Lady or Miss, are you gonna get my hair done? Am I Chanel? You now want to expect her to hear you cry about how you feel
about that, Lauren. We're talking about long-term.
And the reason why they can't choose
marriages. We're talking about my partner is not supporting me.
We understand the question.
I'm not talking about long-term depression. I'm not talking about I cry every day. Part of what triggered me about what you said, because when I'm sad, I need to deal with the sadness. I am not able to deal with the solution. I have to deal with the emotions and let them pass. Just like a cloud, a rain cloud will come over your area, and in time it will pass. You don't know how long it will take. It might take 10 minutes. It might take 2 hours, right? You have no idea. It might take 8 hours. You don't know how long it's going to pass. And you're immediately like, I'll cry with you, and then we got to get to the solution. And I'm like, I'm not even intellectually ready for the solution. I'm only able to deal with, can I cry and do that together and get me out of my emotions?
This is the dysfunction that they pull us in. Because Judge Lauren, really quick, this is what happens. This is what happens when couples get together and they're trying to have an effective communication of conversation that would take them to a place. Communication is supposed to take you somewhere. It's not supposed to keep you stagnant. And when you do this vicious, dysfunctional cycle, the reason why they can't lead, to your point, Judge Lauren, and they keep choosing these type of women is because they don't know what it looks like. It goes back to the mommy issue. If you don't know what it looks like, you can't choose it. One. Number two, when we do this cycle with them, right, which is obviously what they like because it feeds some dysfunction in them, they will stay in the conversation with us. But if we say, listen, baby, it's going in circles, it's not going anywhere, I'm going to just remove myself from the conversation. Guess what we've done? We've left them hanging. We didn't support them. When we don't want to attach to their trauma or this dysfunctional pathology, we're looked upon as not being supportive. That's called having self-love and boundaries that say, baby, I want to love you. I want to support you, but I can't do this because this is not healthy for neither one of us, the relationship or the collective of the family. Even if the kids are watching us do this, it's not showing what healthy communication looks like. So let's just stop until we can recollect and do this again. Then we're not supporting them.
Right. And I want this to stop because I feel like it's quite irresponsible to have this level of conversation and then to try to minimize it into something that was never our intention. When I spoke to you about if you're crying and you come home, we're going to have our Big Mac, we're going to do this and we're going to figure out what we have to do. That doesn't mean literally that you can never cry again. What it was meant to convey was that I see you, I am with you in this. And now let's talk, as you've been talking about, using emotional intelligence about what you need. Is it a sabbatical? Is it just time to cry? You know what? I think I just need a couple weeks because this maybe it's a death. Maybe it's a loss of a job. But what it isn't is every day coming in and crying and being destructive
Every day.
and letting that lead you into destructive behaviors that destroys yourself and your family. No, if I love you, I am not going to allow you to do that and just let that happen. I'm going to be there. We talked now when it was aggressive love earlier when Doc talked about it, then it was the new thing. Oh, I love that aggressive love. I love that aggressive love.
Yes.
So when we aggressively love you and tell you, now I know you're sad, but hey, I'm here for you. What are we going to do? Now we're too aggressive. It's like, come on, you all.
No. I mean, like the aggressive love was a great story that almost made me cry, but it was also was a moment. It was a moment.
We love you aggressively too.
If she's I'm not feeling that. If she can turn that into stalking if she does it too much. One thing that I know that great couples do, when one partner, the male or the woman, is upset, the other person might say, do you want me to listen or do you want me to solve the problem? Because a lot of times women do not want you to solve their problem. Just listen to me. You don't have to say anything. Just be an ear. Just be a presence. Just sit with me and I will talk it out. I don't need you to answer my problem. And you, when you're like, let's get to the solution. And I'm like, maybe I just need to get out the problem. If I come home every day, then I need to be in therapy because we have a significant problem.
You just communicate
one day, I should be able to come home and cry on your shoulder without having to hear about what is the solution that we're going to have for this. Like the solution is let me cry for 20 or 30 minutes.
So then when she asks you the solution, you say that this is what I mean. We're talking about two high functioning people having this conversation, Judge Lauren. We're not talking about a low functioning person and a high functioning person. When someone says, listen, honey, you're crying. I'm working through this. What is the solution? And your solution is, I need you to let me cry. Where is your communication skills, a high functioning man, to say the solution is I need to cry? Give us that.
And emotionally unintelligent. How can I do that?
But she's asking you, what is the solution? That means you tell her because she's available for whatever the solution is. But this is the thing, Judge, back to what I said, a man who's never been seen. From the first woman who's supposed to see him, can't see you seeing him. And they will gaslight you to tell you you're not seeing me and you're not hearing me when you're doing all that. And then you end up in this vicious cycle again in a very unhealthy relationship with a low functioning person who is a pint and you are a gallon who is high functioning. And y'all just can't pour into each other because they're not getting all your gallon into their pint because you're just too much and they don't know how to facilitate and just say, when you ask me what the resolve is, baby, can you just let me cry? And you say, sure.
I think sometimes that the sisters want us to be the providers, the leaders, and we want to be that. But then when we get into a more emotional space, we need them to be the leaders because they generally, most women have much more emotional intelligence than most men. When I get into my sadness, I need you to lead me. And if you're like, I can't, I'm uncomfortable by your sadness, you can't lead me.
That's the confusion. That's it. That's that confusing low functioning.
This is what we get to be.
That's that low functioning. That's what I'm talking about.
This is what we get.
Two healthy, high functioning people understand this.
That.
Yes, you did. You said it 6 times. Don't worry, sis. It will only land on those who are high functioning enough to get it.
I'm gonna say a couple of things. I want to say a couple of things off this episode we have in here because this is cracking me up. For one, I think y'all are so out of tune with what dating in this generation is.
Thank God.
And Judge Lauren, listen, you have a son you're raising. All I'm gonna say is tell him to protect himself because it's gonna be very hard finding young women out here who actively want to do it. I'm raising a son myself, so trust me, I know. I wouldn't tell you this if I didn't truly believe in it. And we saying, okay, they gotta be like this because of trauma or they didn't see it or X, Y, Z. I just told you 30 plus years of marriage. And there's gonna be a dismissal that'll be like, maybe it's not the best 30 plus years of marriage. All I'm saying is 30 plus years of marriage, meaning commitment. They stayed, they worked it out, they fought through it. I ain't saying it was perfect by no means, but I seen what happens when someone stays, right? I think that's a beautiful example of what I wanted. And I think that's why I'm still single today. And it's not the trauma. It's the idea that I refuse to settle for a young woman who does not see me as human first. Not just the man who can provide. Yes, okay, got money. He's handsome, can do all these things. but can you see me as human? When I show up to you and say, baby, I'm not feeling well today, you don't associate it to what my mama did. You look at me as
why did you trauma choose her then? Why did you trauma choose that woman?
Hold on one
Why
second.
did you trauma choose her?
Hold on one second. Dimitri, hold on, Dimitri. I want you to go deeper because you told us you were going to go. Hold on. You told us you were going to go deeper.
The thing about this, there's men out here. There's good, and I got goosebumps. I tell you, there's good men out here who can actively see a woman, understand her emotions, who can provide, who can do all these things, all of them, right? I'll put you a little further into the story. When we talk about trauma, I understand trauma. I met the children of my mother when she was 13 years old. 13.
How old were you?
I trauma bonded to it. I said, I owed this young woman my life, huh?
How old were you?
I was about 13 with her. We was the exact same age. Met walking into a park, right? I trauma bonded to her after her mother passed away. I said, whatever this young lady needs, if I'm here to provide it, I will. Ain't that what a man is set to do? I learned love. I learned how to be emotionally intelligent. I learned all these things to take care of this woman when she does come around. You know what I realized? That young woman, when she did come around, had trauma of her own, could not understand herself emotionally. So there's no way she can be that for me. What happened was there's things in relationship you believe you can fix. That does not mean you're supposed to see a person, understand their trauma and say, all right, peace out. That don't work for me. No, there's a thing called stick-to-itiveness that the men must have, because if you're not, then you give up on a situation and you view it as less than a man. All I'm saying is I was brought to mental health issues and depression because I thought loving someone was a reciprocal act. It's not. When you love somebody, you give something up, parts of yourself that you may not get back, and you got to be okay with that. And all I'm saying is, yes, women typically get the short end of the stick, but all I'm telling you is, there's men out here who get no stick emotionally. There's men out here who get no stick for being human. And not a lot of people understand that. I didn't need that young woman to clean, provide, take care. I was doing everything I could as a man, fixing cars, doing laundry, everything I saw my parents do. A beautiful example. And all I'm saying is all I needed that woman was to look at me and see a human. But instead, you know what she told me? She said, I can't stand here for you. I got to go do that over there because he ready now. He ready now. I can have fun over there. She dipped out for fun. You understand what I'm saying? And y'all and they blame me. They say, okay, you're the man who had these traumatic and trauma bonding experiences. I ain't trying to hear none of that.
I want to go deeper.
There's good examples there's beautiful examples of good men out here, but those good men have nobody to talk to.
Wait, let's go deeper into your emotional journey, your depression journey, right? Because you went through some heavy shit.
Yep.
And you're part of a whole, I don't want to say trend, but a group of Black men who are committing suicide. There is a huge uptick in Black men committing suicide. Let's see that video.
Sometimes we just have to have some tough conversations to bring to light issues plaguing our communities. This morning, we're talking about suicide in Black men. New research shows an alarming number of young Black men are dying by suicide, and the numbers are growing. For Black men ages 15 to 24, suicide is ranked as the third leading cause of death. Black men are also 4 times more likely to die by suicide than Black women. That is according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. There are a number of high-profile suicides in the Black community right now, including the son of actress Regina King, Ian Alexander Jr., Mayor Kevin Ward, and former Miss USA Chesley Christ. And there is a strong stigma in the Black community when it comes to mental health care.
Dimitri, this is really powerful, really sad, really emotional. And I've been there. You've been there. Talk about your journey with suicide.
October 29th, 2022, I attempted to take my life. Not just because some young woman.
What did you do?
I tell you how God works. It's quite hilarious, actually. I tried to slit my wrist. And this year, I recently got a tattoo to cover it up. So, I'm very, very proud of that. I've just now had the strength to do that, right? And a lot of people would contribute it to the idea of a young woman deeming it's okay to walk away from me and this 2-year-old kid. No, it wasn't that. That's not all it was. Like you speak on, Dr. Brown, I had trauma. I had things that I had not dealt with. I was homeless from the age of 18 to 19. I had to go figure that out for myself. I wasn't speaking to my family for issues that I can't disclose, because when you're living in this space, there's things you can't speak on because it brings a negative light to everybody else. And sometimes that's not fair. But me and my whole family fell out. Everybody, because they thought they saw a child who did not understand his place in life. But no, I was a grown man, and I knew what was right and I knew what was wrong, and I stood on what I believed to be right. I had my best friend had died at the time. All this is in the same span. My best friend had died at the time. The relationship had ended. I fell out with my brother because I had to put my hands on my brother, because he put his hands on a woman, and that's not how we was raised. If I'm going to be the person who pulls you up, I gotta be your repercussions before the police get to you. I gotta show you the right ways of this world. My life was just dumping, right? And then all of this, that young woman knew about my suicide attempt. Never said, yo, just want to check on you after all of that. Was you good? No, she was happy doing what she wanted to do. So you know what I had to do? I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm better than all this. I need to get up. I need to figure out who I am and how I contributed to each and every one of those situations in my life. And the thing about it is, everybody was like, you don't seem like you need therapy. You don't seem like you need therapy. I'm choosing therapy for me. I'm choosing therapy because at the end of the day, there's still some traumatic experience I have not dove into yet to understand for myself. And all I'm saying is, when we contribute everything that a Black man does to trauma, that's not always the case. Sometimes you just need an ear. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was really beautifully said, and thank you for sharing that. I've had moments of deep depression. I'm not going to tell the story now. I'll save it for another day. I didn't get as far as you did, but definitely had serious thoughts of ending it out of depression and not really sure where to put that emotion. If you are feeling suicidal, there is a hotline you can call. There are people you can speak to, professionals like Dr. Bryant, suicide hotline, 988. There's things that you can do. If you're a Black man and you feel suicidal, that's okay. You can call somebody, you can speak to somebody, you can get out of that. You will not always feel suicidal. The urge will go away if you can sit through it, if you can hold on a little bit longer, you can get through that. And I hope people who are dealing with that, as I have, as Dimitri has, as other people have, as many other people have, that you can just hold on and find somebody and find a reason to keep going on. Because Black men deserve more than survival. Red Twitch, who killed himself. We deserve peace, softness, and the space to feel without judgment. Enough with the silent treatment, enough with carrying the weight in public. A truly safe space for young Black men doesn't just look like a room with four walls. It means being seen, being heard, being held without having to shrink or toughen up or code switch. It looks like community, not just therapy. So if you're a young Black man listening, your story matters. Your depression matters. Your feelings matter. Your healing is necessary. Your inner life is important. Your emotions are important. You don't have to do it alone. This is your space too. We're going to build this brick by brick together. Stay real, stay grounded, and keep showing up for yourself each day. Okay, that was a amazing show. Thank you guys for bringing all the heart in your entire spirit. Like, comment, and subscribe at Truth Talks Live. Watch us simulcasting right here on the Black Star Network, right after Roland Martin Unfiltered every night. Support Black media at Cash App, Truth Talks Live. Visit truthtalkslive.com to advertise or become a VIP member. Tune in every night, 8 p.m. on the East Coast and on the West Coast. Support us by advertising with Truth Talks and reach the 10 million people who are part of our social network on all platforms. Small businesses and influencers, partner with us by visiting truthtalkslive.com. Next week, Ebony K. Williams and Ryan Cameron will be sitting in with us. We will be here. We are your Truth Talks family, here to argue and still find a way to love each other at the end. Every night, 8 p.m. East Coast and West Coast. Truth Talks will be back tomorrow night.
Good night, y'all.